It's a little bit different in that, well, the nice thing about Digg is it's really there's so much information out there. I mean, there's just too much to go through in any one day. So Digg acts as that kind of collaborative filter to surface the best content. So you really find useful nuggets of information that you wouldn't find anywhere else, and you decide where you want to spend your attention. So when you're looking down that front page of stories, these have already been kind of qualified for you as good quality content. It's up to you on how long you want to spend at each destination site.
Now, I don't mean to quibble with you, but is it that it's good quality content, or it's content that has captured the attention of a lot of people, which may not be the same thing as good quality content?
Well, it really depends on what you consider quality content. And it really depends on what section of the site that you're in, I think that you'll find a completely different set of stories in celebrity gossip section of Digg than you would if you were in the political opinion section of Digg. So, yeah, I agree that Digg brings all of that to the table, and it really isn't about being the best source of quality content. It's about finding out what the masses are really enjoying at any given moment in time, and using the power of many to kind of sift through all these stories that are being submitted, and also using just the power of a few friends, because we also have a view within Digg that is just your friends. If you want to see what they're into, you can also get that.
So we kind of moved forward in the story here a little bit. You were at Tech TV, then that got sold off to G4, and how did you then make the transition out of that horrible world of television to this great world that you're in now?
So when I was on Tech TV, we started a little show called The Broken, which was like a little computer hacking show, just as kind of an experiment to see what would happen if we put something out online. And it received 500,000-600,000 downloads. And this was something this was pre-YouTube. I mean, this was several years ago. And it just really showed us that, okay, there is an audience out there. We didn't know if the audience even existed because there wasn't any of these video sharing sites or anything like that. So once I saw that, it made sense to give it a shot, start a company, see what would happen. And that's when we founded Revision 3. And so when I was at G4, I had several little projects going on. And one was Digg. And that was something that I just was thinking about and started with a friend. I hired him. A friend of mine was a developer. I hired him to write the code. I drafted up the initial spec, gave it to him, and then he wrote the code for the site. But after I had those couple of different projects going on, it made sense that I don't need this full-time job anymore because it's getting in the way of these other projects that are starting to take off. So why not just focus on them full-time?
So literally Digg started as you and another guy, and it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, Digg was kind of probably about a month and a half of me just kind of drawing on pieces of paper and figuring out how this would all come together. I was a big fan of sites like Slashdot and Delicious, and there was a lot of this kind of sharing of information between users, but there was really no place to do it for news at that point in time. And so it kind of just made sense in my head, and I just wanted to see what it would look like if we developed it. So that's when I wrote up like a 5-page document and then emailed a friend, asked him for a quote on how much he would charge me to have it written. And it was like a couple $1,000s, and decided to take the risk and give it a shot.
Now I got to ask you, Digg, the name. I mean, I flash back to the Mod Squad. Hey, he's a hepcat Digg.
Right,
Where does it come from?
So Digg, boy, there was a lot of names I was trying to go through. I basically, I really wanted the name Digg because I thought Digg would be fun. I just thought it was catchy, but it wasn't available. I tried to buy it and they wouldn't sell it to me. And then Digg, I was just thinking that when you submit stories to the site, they're not on the front page, so they're beneath the surface. And then the users have to surface that content to the front page by finding it and voting on it. And in my head, it was kind of like stories were buried beneath the ground, and you wanted to pull those up to the front page, so you were kind of digging to pull those stories to the front of the site. I don't know if that I wasn't sure about the name for a while. Like, it took a couple weeks to kind of grow on me, because when we launched the site, I was like, oh, I just don't know if people are gonna like the name. And with 2 Gs, but the guy sold me the domain for $1,500, and it worked out.
So it starts up, it gets going a little bit. How did it turn into what it's turned into? How did you? And I guess I mean I've used Digg for a long time. I submit stories to Digg all the time, and if I get to 3 or 4 digs on my stories, then I feel pretty damn good most of the time. And it's kind of the similar thing. It's like, how did the entire project become something that got national, international attention that really caught on?
Yeah, I think it was how crazy the front page of news was every single day. I can remember waking up and going to the front page of Digg. Well, first of all, it's really scary when you create a site like this that you don't control, because you're used to, if you have a website, you control the content that goes on that website. I mean, that's just the way it's always been. And this idea of, when I would go to bed at night, I would just think, oh God, I wonder what's going to be on the front page in the morning. Like, just who knows what the masses might surface, because at that point you didn't know what was going to be up there. So I would wake up in the morning and pull up the website, and it would just be the craziest but interesting stories and news and just all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't be able to find on my own. And I knew that people were also really enjoying it from the emails that we would get. People would say, "Oh, I found the coolest story, and I dug it, and I think I shared it with my friends." And it was the idea of I knew it was going to take off when I saw that people were actually using it as a system to share their personal kind of stories and things that they found interesting with their community and with the community at large. So once that was really happening, and we were getting more submitted stories and more activity and more digging, it was just clear that people really want to communicate like this.
Now, I guess the other thing I would worry about in a situation like that is that, yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. There's a lot of amazing stuff out there. There's a lot of ugly stuff out there too. There's hate speech. There's,
right.
How do you have you run into that problem of the neo-Nazis all get together and want to dig something evil on the site and push it up?
Yeah, I mean, right now on Digg, I'm sorry, let me think about it. How many unique visitors do we get a month? Do we know? 18 million? Okay. So anytime you have around 18 million people coming to your site a month, you're going to get a certain amount of people trying to promote, hate speech or just bad things on the internet. But what we've done, and this was done very early on, is much in the same way that you can dig a story and say, this is something I'm into and that I like, you can also bury a story and say, I don't like this and I want it removed from the site. And there's a great community on Digg, and they don't stand for sites and content like that. So
if I click bury, what happens?
There's a vote that's sent into the system, and if enough people also agree with you that that story is bad and they bury it, the story will disappear from the front page or wherever it is on the site. It still lives, and it can be found in the people's profiles that dug the story, but it's removed. And if we get emails that are pornography, things like that, then we'll go and hard remove those from the site. But yeah, the community self-polices, which is great, because we just don't have the resources to police that many incoming news stories per day.
Yeah, I mean, the last profile I did, in fact, the piece that's running this week is with Craig Newmark. And, he's obviously had to deal with that problem
right.
a lot. And he said, the biggest surprise is how rational and sane the vast majority of people are out there. Mm-hmm. But you always do have the kooks and the wackos.
Right.
And you kind of have to deal with those.
I mean, absolutely. But there's more sane, normal individuals on the web that want to see Digg as a good, useful utility and a good place for them that they enjoy visiting. So they're more than happy to contribute and help out by removing the garbage.
Now, the other half of that is that you've had issues with, the term mobs. And I guess the